Our rally today was organized by an husband occupying Palestinian land since 1967. It has never been held accountable, not by the international community. And that ruling did not give us everything we asked for. It did not order a ceasefire. But it did order Israel not to commit genocide. Israel joined the Genocide Convention. The United States joined the Genocide Convention. Both states are committed by their basic law not to commit or support genocide. And while the court is going to take its sweet time examining all the evidence and deciding whether what's happening in Palestine right now is genocide, we know that it's genocide. You can't systematically destroy, you can't drive 90% of the population of a territory out of their homes. You can't bomb hospitals, churches, schools, systematically destroy the economy, prevent entry of humanitarian aid, and kill over 25,000 people in only 3 months and not call it genocide. Of course it's genocide. Our senators, our congressmen paid for the weapons that are being used in that genocide. The United States is responsible. Senator Warren and Senator Markey are responsible. They voted for those bombs. They voted for those jets. We didn't sell them to Israel. We gave them to Israel for free. Our tax dollars paid for those bombs. We demand an immediate change in policy. We demand a ceasefire. We demand no more U.S. military aid to Israel. Now we're on the brink of a wider regional war. We've been bombing the Houthis in Yemen. The Houthis are demanding the same thing we are, an end to this. They want a ceasefire in Gaza. And there was a short ceasefire of about a week in November. Guess what? The Houthis stopped. The Houthis stopped attacking ships during that ceasefire. And they say they will do so again. There's no reason to doubt them. Now we have a drone that hit a U.S. base on the border of Jordan and Syria, and Biden is threatening retaliation. There is a very, very serious risk that this war will continue to spread and become a regional war. Senator Markey and Senator Warren, their offices are here. They both said they would send representatives to our rally. I don't see them yet, but hopefully they will show up. They voted, they've called for a ceasefire, but they haven't followed through with action. They haven't taken decisive action to make it happen. We demand more, we demand leadership. One vote that they did take last week was on Senator Sanders' bill to investigate whether Israel is committing human rights violations with U.S. supplied weapons. That measure failed in the Senate, but both of our senators voted for it. We have something to thank them for. It's not enough, but it's something. We need more. Oh, here's Jim. Hi, Jim. Jim is Senator Markey's. Are you the district director?
I am the deputy state director for Senator Warren.
Okay. Okay, thank you for being here. Thank you.
Given that you have not enough clothes on, you might want to speak soon.
I was just saying that Senator Warren and Senator Markey voted with Senator Sanders to investigate Israel's human rights record with U.S. supplied weapons, and we thank them for that. But we need more. We need a ceasefire. We need not just words, but action. We need a ceasefire resolution in the Senate. Why can't one of those senators introduce that resolution and bring it to a vote? We need to cut off military aid to Israel. Our tax dollars paid for this disaster. Our senators voted to send those weapons. It has to stop. It's unacceptable. It's genocide, and we cannot afford to pay for that anymore. We need a cutoff of U.S. military aid to Israel.
Yes.
When Israel comes to its senses, when it decides to observe its international commitments, then we can talk about whether we have an alliance with Israel. Right now, they're out of line, and we are deeply implicated, and the Biden administration refuses to cut off its shameful policy, and we need the senators to do more. Now, we've written a letter to those two senators that we're going to read out. Grace is not here. All right. In that case, I'm going to call on Nancy Miller of the Alliance for Water Justice in Palestine to say a few words. Nancy. We'll read it.
Hello, everybody. I am Nancy Murray of the Alliance for Water Justice in Palestine.
Can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? Yes. Thank you all for being here. Thank you, Senator staff, for being here. I have been over 15 times to the Gaza Strip on various human rights missions, and my heart is breaking at what is happening. The annihilation of not just the people, but the place itself. You know, this place is only half the size of Cape Cod, and it has had the equivalent of 2 Hiroshima bombs dropped on it, thanks to our tax dollars, thanks to the unstinting support our Congress gives Israel. This has got to stop. I am absolutely appalled by everything that's going on. Just one statistic which haunts me, which is that every day 10 children have their legs amputated, now without any kind of anesthesia. Every day. That is so inhumane, and it's made possible by the United States. I'm also appalled by the fact that within an hour of the International Court of Justice ruling that Israel is plausibly committing genocide, what happened? What happened is that the State Department announced it was cutting off aid to the one organization which is completely critical in saving Palestinians in Gaza from starvation, in providing them with some kind of shelter. This is UNRWA. Why? Because there were allegations, they hadn't even been proven, that 12 of UNRWA's 13,000 employees in Gaza may have acted with Hamas on October 7th. Allegations. And so we cut off aid and we induced our allies to do the same. This at a time when the International Court of Justice is saying, as one of its provisional measures, that aid has got to be increased as a matter of absolute urgency. Now starvation is stalking the Gaza Strip. Now there is no water. People are drinking seawater. This is an absolute blot on humanity, and it will be a blot on the entire international order of international law if the United States continues to ignore this ruling. As a signatory of the Geneva Convention, it is supposed to be interceding to stop practices that are plausibly genocidal. So, I urge both our senators to speak forcefully, to say to the State Department, the Biden administration, the world, that the U.S. stands with international law, the U.S. stands with the moral imperative of stopping genocide. Let Gaza live. Thank you.
Gaza live. Thank you, Nancy. Now, Rowan, let me call on you to make a statement. Rowan is an undergraduate at Northeastern University and an intern at MAPA this term. Rowan.
name is Rowan, and like Cole said, I am a second year at Northeastern University, and I am here today with Mass Peace Action. I am not from Boston, though. I'm from Colorado. And back home in Colorado, I am the second of 5 children. And my youngest sibling is recently turned 5. And I worry about my siblings a lot while I'm here. You know, I worry if they're making friends, and I worry if they're having fun. I worry about them. But unfortunately, and unlike me, the Palestinians my age with siblings worry if they will have food, or if they will have somewhere to sleep. They worry if their siblings will survive the night. Since October 7th, Israel has killed more than 26,000 Palestinians, out of which at least 10,400 are children. When this all began, I tried to stay neutral. However, I remember reading a news article in which there was a story about a little girl that was killed in a bombing on her 5th birthday. That's what changed my mind. And all I could think about was my little sister. My youngest sister, who is so full of light and happiness, and who has barely gotten to experience or learn anything that life has to offer. Now, these Palestinian children and adults have suffered atrocities that are far beyond cruel, and there is nothing that can justify these killings. My family is safe, and my family is okay. I could close my eyes and I could pretend that nothing is happening. But that is not what I choose to do. I choose to do what I can do to help those who are suffering. No matter how little it is, I will always choose to help those who need it, because that is what humans should do. And to all of those elected officials in my state and the rest of the United States, I urge you to choose to be good too.
Thank you, Rowan. Look at the ceasefire now truck. Isn't that sweet? So we're taking to the streets and the airwaves to get our message out. Now I need a couple of volunteers. We have a letter that we're handing over to our senators today, and I need 2 volunteers to read that letter. The person who was supposed to read it is late. So, okay, we got 1 volunteer. It's 2 pages, so I thought we could break up the job into 2 parts. All right, here's a volunteer. All right, this guy's going to read the first half. You're going to read the second half. All right.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
And let's say Senator Warren.
Dear Senators Warren and Markey, on January 26th, the International Court of Justice, the ICJ, ruled nearly unanimously that Israel is plausibly engaged in genocidal acts in its war against the Gaza Strip, and issued several binding provisional measures that are to take effect immediately. Israel shall take all measures within its power to prevent genocidal acts of killing, causing serious bodily harm, bodily or emotional harm, deliberately inflicting conditions of life intended to bring about the destruction of Palestinians in Gaza as a group, and preventing births. 2. Israel shall ensure its military does not commit any of the acts specified above. Israel shall prevent and punish public incitement to commit genocide. Israel shall ensure provisions of urgently needed humanitarian assistance to Palestinians of Gaza. Israel shall ensure preservation of evidence relating to commission of the crime of genocide. Israel shall report to the court within 1 month on the measures taken to give effect to the above. As Naledi Pandor, the South African Minister for International Relations and as Naledi Pandor, the South African Minister for International Relations and Cooperation, pointed out after the ICJ ruling was delivered, in exercising the order, there will have to be a ceasefire. Without it, the order will not work. We note that the U.S., Israel's principal arms supplier, has thus far prevented the UN Security Council from demanding a permanent ceasefire. It is not only failing to prevent genocide, but is actively complicit in it, which is a crime under the Genocide Convention. At this critical time, for the international order and lives of Palestinians, we urge you to demand an immediate bilateral ceasefire and an end to the shipment of weapons to Israel as long as the war on Gaza lasts. As a signatory to the Genocide Convention, the United States has a duty under Article 1 of the Convention to take all measures reasonably within its power to prevent genocide, once it becomes aware of a serious risk that genocide is occurring.
Okay, we're going to start with the second page. It's just the last line.
The UN has warned that Gaza is uninhabitable as Israel continues to limit the entry of the Thanks, Kathy. Necessities for survival: food, water, essential medicines, and fuel, and has even attacked aid convoys. All 2.2 million Palestinians in Gaza face the imminent risk of famine. UN human rights experts warn, quote, Israel is destroying Gaza's food systems and using food as a weapon against the Palestinian people, unquote. Cutting off aid at this vital moment will place the lives of the 2.2 million Palestinians in Gaza in even more imminent peril and likely constitutes further U.S. complicity in genocide. As the ICJ stated in its ruling, the purpose of the Genocide Convention is not just, quote, to safeguard the very existence of certain human groups, but also to confirm and endorse the most elementary principles of morality. Please act now to preserve lives and the moral principles to which the U.S. has long laid claim. UNRWA is the primary supplier of humanitarian services to the population of Gaza. The ICJ ruling clearly means that support for its efforts must be expanded and facilitated rather than curtailed. The administration's recent decision to suspend funding to UNRWA is absolutely unacceptable, and we call on you to act with urgency to reverse it. Two of three U.S. voters have supported a ceasefire since October. 1 in 3 U.S. voters already believes the Israeli aggression in Gaza constitutes genocide, and a majority of Americans support conditioning future aid to Israel. As a majority of U.S. voters also state they would support a ceasefire candidate. U.S. voters care about equality, especially as Prime Minister Netanyahu has repeatedly rejected any vision for a future Palestinian state and called for Israel control of all Palestinian territories, including the West Bank and Gaza. I'd add, he said, control from the river to the sea. Netanyahu said that. When we say that, we are condemned. It is time to abandon a U.S. foreign policy that treats Palestinian lives as disposable. The only path forward includes a vision of equal rights and sovereignty for Palestinians and Israelis. With that, we urge you to vote against additional support for Israel and to join us in supporting a ceasefire.
Yes.
My name is Chris Ho. I live in Jamaica Plain. I want to say that just if I was in Gaza, I would be dead. Period. I'm disabled. I rely on a power wheelchair or another chair. I was born 60 years ago. A cesarean was required for my birth. That is unable to happen. I needed an incubator after I was born. We've seen what happened to those infants. It breaks my heart and angers me to no end that the president is taking the stand, and further that Senators Markey and Warren, who I worked hard to elect and believed in that they were ethical people, that they're not taking a strong stand.
Yes.
We need to hear their voices strongly. The way we're hearing Ayanna Pressley, the way we're actually hearing my Congressman Stephen Lynch, who signed on. Stephen Lynch is ahead of Markey and Warren on this. That's unacceptable. And I'm so glad that all of you could be here on this terribly cold day. Thanks.
Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for Israel's crimes. Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for Israel's crimes. Now I'm going to turn over these letters, and I'm going to ask the senator's staff if they wish to make any remarks. You'd be welcome to.
So you're not able to make a statement? We can't.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. My name is Jim Cantwell. I'm the state director for Senator Ed Markey. Innocent Wazufi, who does a lot of our foreign relations work, is here as well. And I know Elizabeth may have just to say hello from Senator Warren. Just want to thank you all for coming out today on such a cold day. Cole, we appreciate all that you do. And for all Mass Peace Action, all who are here. Nancy, it's lovely to see you as always. Chris, thank you for your remarks. And also Rowan. And I apologize, I hadn't met you before. Yeah, that's David it. And David, thank you so much. We will make sure that Senator Markey could not be here today. I know he is in Washington, D.C. He will get this letter. I know that you all have heard his remarks. And Cole, thank you for talking of just the resolution last week that both Senators Warren and Senator Markey joined together in. You also know of their support for the Van Hollen Amendment. We have that statement that you would have as well when they were talking about making sure that there would be direction for any, if there's to be any aid to Israel, what the direction would be to make sure that it follows all U.S. and all international law. We will be in touch. We can go around to say hello to folks and that. I know it's cold, but we always want to make sure to get people's information. Maybe it's best through you, Cole, that everyone can leave information so we can communicate through Cole, but to every one of you individually as well. But thank you again for coming out today. We very much appreciate your very heartfelt beliefs and words. I would like to go around and say hello to people individually. Elizabeth, I know that you always have so many eloquent things to say, so yeah.
No, I just want to echo a lot of Jim's words, and I want to thank
Nice
everybody.
and loud, please.
I just want to echo Jim's words, and I want to thank everybody for being here and for coming here and raising your voice. And we will be taking this letter back to our respective senators and our respective teams. So thank you so much.
Can't hear you. Can you identify yourself?
Are
Ice cream cone.
Are they going to sign a ceasefire? They're going to sign up for a ceasefire, yes or no?
We can't respond to that.
Why not? Why not?
That means no.
Why not?
We just can't respond to that. That's all my. We can't.
They've had 3 months to think about it, and they still can't respond. That's disgraceful. Jim mentioned the Van Hollen Amendment. By the glacial standards of the United States government, that amendment will put some conditions on military aid to Israel, but it's not sufficient. It's laughable, really. There have been, for decades, Israel has committed human rights violations with American aid. Everyone knows it. They killed Shireen Abu Akleh in the West Bank. The Israeli Defense Forces shot her. presumably with U.S. supplied weapons. They won't even investigate it. The State Department has refused to even investigate whether Israel's following human rights standards with all the billions and billions and billions of dollars we have sent them over many years. And yet the senators still wonder whether we can hold Israel to account for human rights standards. It's a step forward by the standards of Washington, but it's not nearly sufficient. We need to cut off that aid now and let it be perfectly clear. Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now! Ceasefire now!
So at the risk of prolonging our rally in the cold, if a few more people would like to step up and make remarks, you could, or we can wrap. Would anyone else like to say a word? Okay, can you come over?
Can you hear me? Yeah. My name is Nancy Supleski. I live in Jamaica Plain.
Come over here for the picture if you don't mind.
Okay. I've been calling the senator's office starting back in December. I tried to make it a daily call, not possible every single day. I thank Senator Markey's staff for picking up the phone. I have to say I never heard from anybody in Senator Warren's office, but the aide on the other end of the line told me the calls are meaningful. And so I encourage everybody to continue making those calls. I also call on our senators who I, like Chris, worked really hard to get elected. I gave them money. I went out and canvassed. I went to New Hampshire in the bitter cold like this, thinking maybe Elizabeth Warren stood a chance of being our next president. I had a t-shirt that said the best senator money can't buy. I don't feel that way anymore. And I do ask these senators to stand up to Nancy Pelosi and say that's a bunch of bullshit about this being some kind of Russian-inspired situation where American citizens stand up for justice. I'm disgusted by her, and I'm disgusted that we're not hearing from our senators. Thank you.
I think that's a very important point. I don't know if you all saw in the news that Nancy Pelosi gave an interview to CNN in which she said that pro-Palestine protesters are paid off by Russia. And she called, this was just the other day, and she called on the FBI to investigate us and find out whether we're paid off by Russia. She provided no evidence. That was an outrageous attack on the free speech of Americans. As our letter says, 2/3 of Americans are calling for a ceasefire, but Nancy Pelosi wants to investigate us and find out whether we were paid off by a foreign power to say that. That's disgraceful, and we should ask our senators to denounce that kind of red baiting or McCarthyism or whatever you want to call it.
Ask them right now. Why aren't they speaking out again? Mark, can you ask this gentleman? He's right now for Markey and Warren. Why aren't they denouncing Pelosi's remarks? That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, excuse me, Jim Pratt is commenting on Nancy Pelosi's remark to CNN on Sunday that pro-Palestinian protesters, according to her, are paid off by Russia to say that. And she called on the FBI to investigate us and find out whether we're paid off by Russia. She provided no evidence. I want to know if Senator Markey would criticize that comment by Nancy Pelosi.
I do not think
Can you ask him that? If he responds, like to hear his response.
He said that they can't respond to that. I don't know that I don't know that he knows he's seen the report. But you know what I would say about that is Nancy Pelosi this is what she's right about. This war helps Putin. What Israel is doing helps Putin. And Biden's but the reason that matters is if you want to hurt Putin, then have a ceasefire. Do the right. If you want to stop attacks by the Houthi, have a ceasefire. It's not rocket science. Yes, and of course what Nancy Pelosi said is despicable.
So this is Susan McLucas from the Committee for Peace and Democracy, or Human Rights and Democracy. All right, Susan.
That's the Committee for Peace and Human Rights. Thank you all for being out here, and I'm really glad that the senator staff came too. We appreciate that. I've been waiting for the World Court decision, and I was hoping it was going to be stronger, but it is implicitly condemning what Israel is doing, and we really need our government to get behind the World Court and support them. Say no more aid to Israel.
Thanks. And here's somebody else to make a remark. After she speaks, I want everyone to come over here for a group picture, but go ahead and say a word.
Hi, my name is Gabrielle, and I've been a Democrat my whole life.
Can't hear you.
Kiss it. I've been a Democrat my whole life. I thought that the Democrats stood for human rights, for justice, and I'm sorely mistaken. Now, the World Court, they're having a trial about war crimes with Israel. The United States is participating in war crimes, international war crimes. If Elizabeth Warren and Markey don't get on the right side of history, maybe they should go to jail for war crimes. Biden should go to jail for war crimes. You know, I'm sick of this two-party system. It's like both parties are rotten. They're both owned by big corporations, and we need to get rid of all of you guys, all of them, if they can't do the right thing. As a Democrat, I want my money, my tax money, to go to climate justice and human rights and education and world peace. We should have a peace department rather than a Pentagon. Why aren't we working with the United Nations to find a peaceful settlement? This is an outrage, and I'm disgusted.
Thank you. So now would everyone come over here and stand together for a group picture? We want to show the public that we're here today, and the one way to do that is to put a lot of faces in one picture.
Oh, can I just say one quick thing? I just have a quick response to the accusation by the corrupt Pelosi that we